right. It is time. We have a lot to cover. We're going to get started, but we're going to open up with a little bit of a warm-up. This is about a 1-minute vignette to get us in the mood about what we're going to talk about today.
Good afternoon. I see you tell me, where are you now?
Everything incorporated pen and paper. So as we're going around all our controllers, monitoring how they work and the problems we have on routes, it was logged on a bit of paper, then going to a desktop and duplicating everything that we do for each individual person. Then you'd have to send everything off on an email and carry on the process with each and every person in the office.
We've got a lot of data. Every single bus stop we serve on every single route comes in as a data point every single day, and it's a heck of a lot of data.
Throughout the day, for me to walk around this iBus centre gathering information, it could take me in excess of an hour, whereas I can do that so easy just with the tablet, and it just makes it that much more quicker. I can turn an hour's job into 20 minutes, so productivity goes up.
PowerApps, which can be accessed on the go and can be used anywhere in the world essentially, have removed the need for all these disjointed systems, and they've put it into one kind of unified platform with a view or a write function directly from somebody's mobile phone. And so that we can see on a daily basis exactly how we're performing in real time. This is a huge shift change for our industry.
All right, that's pretty cool. Welcome to not the top 10 new features that will help you build apps with ease, because you know what? We tried to prepare that presentation and it was too hard, so we're amending the title. There is just too much to talk about. We have been busy, and there's a lot going on in PowerApps today. I know everybody's excited to sort of talk about and see the new stuff. Here's how the session's going to go. We'll spend a little bit of time up front, just about 10 minutes or so. I want to put in context for you all this new stuff that's coming. Why are we working on what we're working on? So it's not just a litany of new stuff. And then I want to actually tell another awesome story, actually on stage here. We're joined by Camilla from Lego, and we'll get to see an app in action. And then we're going to spend the meat of the time talking about what's new. We'll talk about all the features that are either have recently shipped in PowerApps or are about to ship in the month of October, and kind of put them in context of this strategy. And at the end, Evan's going to come up and do another demo of all that new stuff, sort of grafted onto the same Lego experience that we see Camilla demo now. We'll sort of do a digital makeover of what's going to be possible in PowerApps with all these new features for Lego. So that's sort of the high-level overview of how we're going to spend the next 75 minutes. So let's dive into what's going on right now in PowerApps to sort of put all this in context. There are some amazing things happening across this business right now. And the first one of them is that PowerApps is just growing tremendously in production. What you're looking at is a sort of anonymized chart of apps that we consider to be in production. We're incredibly data-driven on the PowerApps product team. We have done a rich cluster analysis. We have looked at what are apps that are not just being tinkered with, not just being worked on, actually being used by a volume of end users. And this is what that looked like. Sort of the chart starts on the left at January of 2017. We GA'd shortly before that in Halloween, actually, of 2016. This is what it looked like at last Ignite. Modest, steady progress. People playing with the program, with the product, starting to put it into production. Then a funny thing happened when we all went home from Ignite last year and went home for the holidays and came back and started using PowerApps for real. This is what production usage of PowerApps has looked like in the last 12 months. We are up more than 6x, in fact, 653% if you're counting, which we are. And there are a phenomenal number of customers who are building and working and innovating on this platform and building apps that range from departmental level apps and small individual processes to apps that large pieces of the company are using. To kind of put that story in context a little bit, this is not just about cool stories and adoption. We're also being recognized by the industry, right? And now PC Magazine, for the second year in a row, has gone and actually rigorously looked at all of the low-code offerings on the market. They've had their developers go do high-code and low-code scenarios on them without us in the room at all, and they've ranked us side by side. They've picked us 2 years in a row. Forrester has us and only Microsoft as the vendor in the upper right of both their low-code business developer wave and their professional developer wave for high productivity app platforms. Gartner is the same way. The platform is on a tear, but we don't really look so much at what people are saying on the outside. We look at what people are doing. And I want to tell just a couple of stories that we're really proud of that sort of epitomize this. I mean, this adoption curve. Because this curve, that giant graph I showed earlier, is not just a bunch of new people trying out one thing. It's also customers taking this into production themselves. Martin Lee was a dispatcher at Belron Group. They are a global conglomerate, 28,000 employees. They operate as Safelite here in the US. They fix your windshield when you get a ding in it. In the UK, where Martin works, they're known as Autoglass. And Martin saw an opportunity to work more efficiently than the spreadsheet-based process they were using to do fleet vehicle management. Found PowerApps right about this time last year and started tinkering with it. The bars are the number of apps he's deployed in production. The line is the number of users of those apps. One of those apps in production, just one, they estimate unlocks an additional $1.6 million of annual revenue just for the UK subsidiary, and he's rolled out now. This chart is out of date. It's more than 60 or 70 apps into production across that company. This is happening for real. Vanessa and her team at Standard Bank, a large bank in South Africa. In fact, they were here last year on the stage at Ignite being proud of their early adoption of the platform. They've gone on to train more than a third of their 55,000-person organization on the platform. Their mantra from an IT perspective is apps built by the business for the business. They've taken this long tail of apps that they never would have funded, and they go to business units that have expertise in these areas, and they teach them how to fish. They'll run a 2-day hackathon. They'll train you on the platform. They'll train you in PowerApps and Flow. You bring the expertise of the business problem, whether that's inspecting and repairing ATMs or recouping foreign exchange transaction tax overpayments, and then you roll this out into the business. And now dozens of business units own their own futures, not in spite of IT, not in the shadow of IT, but empowered by IT at this organization. That's pretty good for a 150-year-old bank, right? Remy at SNCF, the French National Railway, hundreds of thousands of employees, 165,000 of them licensed for Office 365. Started out with just one process, and this is how most of us get started on the platform. Hey, we've got to inspect bogies, the sort of carriages that trains ride on, make sure that their fault tolerances are safe to go put them back out on the rails and put a carriage on them. That was a pen and paper process. There was no app for that, for recording the measurements and spring alignments in these bogies until PowerApps. Until Remy could build a visually designed app that lays out for that frontline worker exactly what to do in that situation. Now, Remy is a professional software developer. He knows .NET, he knows how to write code, but found this process so much faster to go deliver a cross-platform mobile app that works on iOS and Android, is secured by AED, and has all this custom UI. And that was such a success that now Remy has gone on to do a lot more. And now we're talking about not just one Digiboji app, we're talking about incident reporting, we're talking about training management, we're talking about quality control, we're talking about supply chain orders and language translation and recruiting and employee movement management as I go from one part of the company to the other. There's so many apps now across SNCF that they're developing apps to manage their apps and PowerApps to help people find apps on top of it. This is real. This is happening. And these are just a couple of stories of people that we call PowerApps champions. We actually empirically identify champions. We look at people from a telemetry perspective that are influential in their organizations. We reach out to them in the product, and we put them in a special program. We give them inside access to new things. But the special thing that's happening here is that champions are growing around the world. There are now thousands of people that have multiple apps in production in their organizations around the planet. Raise your hand if you're one of the people in that chart. If you have an app in production on PowerApps or you've played with PowerApps a little bit, yeah, hands are going up, right? And if you have not, if you've been sort of watching this from the side or you're just hearing about this and you're sort of waiting for the time to take it seriously and dive in, now is that time. And that's the best call to action we can make to you. But you don't need to take my word for it in the classic phrase. What I'd like to do is call Camila up to the stage. Camila works at Lego Group. Let's give her a big welcome and come on up. Thank you, Camila. It's wonderful to have you all the way out here at Ignite. So can you give us just a brief introduction to you and your role at Lego and what you do? Yeah.
I work at Lego. I work actually in a small team called Consumer Perceived Quality. Okay. We work with customer complaints, you can say. We work with the crying kid. So
the crying kid.
The crying kid.
I have two at home.
Yeah. So it's actually, if you imagine that you are getting this box and there is a missing piece or the decoration on the minifigure head is a bit misaligned, you reach out to us, our customer service, and they will send out a replacement part. Okay. So they will put a bandage on your your wound, you can say.
put a band-aid, yeah.
So you will stop the kid from crying.
Yep.
But all these complaints are actually going into our database, and that is where I come into the picture. I will monitor in this database and look for trends, and if there is a trend in it, we will raise a quality issue, you could say.
So you're right in the middle between customers and their experience and product and production management and operations. Everybody's relying on you to put the right information forward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and we will relate to our stakeholders as development, for example, or operation or something like that.
And before PowerApps, how did that all work?
Oh, we did it in, first of all, we did it on a board, and then we started with in an Excel sheet.
I'm cheating because I've seen the slide before. Who has an Excel spreadsheet like this in their company, right? Everybody has an Excel spreadsheet like this in their company.
Yes.
So tell me about what motivated you to do more than Excel, and how did you come to find PowerApps?
Excel is so fantastic. I love Excel. But the thing is that we are having yearly approximately 400 plus quality issues, potential quality issues going through our department of 9 people. And we are having to track them, and we are reporting upon them. So this Excel sheet was our backbone.
Got it.
And we had to safeguard it and be accurate. So we were only 2 people actually entering in it, and everybody else was like, oh, we don't dare.
Don't touch it, don't touch it.
I wonder if I was deleting something or something like that. So we needed to do something else that would be more transparent and more flexible.
Sure. And you found PowerApps. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, actually, I went through going back in the days. I was working with Access databases, and that could also be. But you know, I hate double locking, and we were also looking into it because our stakeholders wanted us to be more transparent.
Yeah.
So they would also like to have access to all these cases, and with Access database, we also had to upload it to a SharePoint list. So that would be double locking.
Double logging.
Yes.
Who likes entering the same data twice? No. Oh, come on. Awesome.
Yes.
So you built some apps, and now this process is running a bit differently. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, exactly. I started out. This is the first version of the app, actually, and we started out by going into PowerApps simply because we could safeguard the data in the SharePoint list, and here we would be multiple users entering at the same time.
Cool.
So it was more approachable.
Got it.
And became more transparent, you can say.
Cool. Yep. Now, I understand you've actually brought this app with you. It was one thing to put a picture of it on the screen. Could you show us a little bit about it?
Yes, of course.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Just have to.
Yeah, why don't you log in and we'll switch the camera.
Okay. So actually, if we could imagine that we have 25 consumer complaints, or customer complaints, sorry. Yep. And it's regarding the misalignment of the minifigure head here. And that would actually come up in our reporting. And then I will create a quality issue that we will start up.
Cool.
We'll go like this, hit the plus.
So you've got a view here of all the currently active issues, and now you're going to start a new one.
I will start a new one, so we can get it started in our team. And actually, the new thing about this was also that we could assign the task to somebody. It's usually me doing this regarding the consumer complaints, and then we could actually also, say, okay, it's not activated yet, it's in progress, or we are closing it.
Sure.
The next thing is that I will put in the complaint.
Yep.
The communication number, and at the start I will see.
It already knew there was a monster truck and great city vehicles. Cool.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then I will just put in the minifigure head number. Like this. And then I can actually type in the issue, and this issue will also go into all our stakeholder reporting.
Sure.
So I will not put it in today.
Sure.
Yeah, I will just go.
This is quite the form. It looks like there's more here. Tell us what happens downstream in this process. Yeah.
Yeah, downstream. When we go down, I can actually also, when we have loaded it, I can say, okay, so I needed to report it to somebody in the organization, and as it is a degradation mistake, operation will be the first one to note about it, and we'll also create a report for them. And like this, when I say, okay, we'll report it, they will come out.
Cool.
In Lego, we are also really much into knowledge sharing. So I can also put in, like, who would I like to share this knowledge with, that we have this issue, and what was the solution to it so we can learn everybody from it.
Oh, cool. So you can flag, hey, share this information out or make it a training opportunity or something like
Exactly.
that.
I could say, okay, I'll put it in training, and I will tell our customer service that we are actually looking into the issue. So they can tell the next customer calling in, oh, you know what, thank you for your feedback, but we are looking into it. We are updating the decoration machine, for example.
That's harder to do from an Excel spreadsheet, I think.
It is.
Yeah, cool.
It is.
Cool.
It was really, really manual before.
Yeah.
And I will just put in a traffic light so you will see the cool feature when we come into view mode.
Cool.
Then I have actually created the case for us to go in and look at. And here, just go up.
Oh, neat.
So, yeah, exactly. We will see the monster truck picture, we will see the element, and that combo, when we have so many cases together, will actually set our mind into what case are we looking at now. Cool. So the visual is really helpful now instead of the Excel spreadsheet.
How did you build a traffic light? That's pretty neat. Can you show us that?
Yes, I have to see.
I think a traffic light is an out-of-the-box control we offer in PowerApps yet.
No. We'll just open it up. Yeah. And it's really low code. It's 3 circles I just built in.
Okay.
And then going from there, with a box behind it, just cheating the eye.
That's very cool. Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that you don't just typically do in a SharePoint list or an Excel spreadsheet, but it makes it a lot more fun for somebody to use and watch the app, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess while that's loading up, can you tell us a bit about how the adoption of this has gone? What's been the response inside of your group in Lego?
It has been they have been so happy with it, and they were coming forward with so many suggestions. So that was also why we could actually take it from the first version to the next level, because they kept pushing. So a step at a time, I was developing this app. And
so it's not just one and done, it's you're continuing to iterate on it and make it better as you get feedback.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
cool.
Here it's actually just an if in the filling of what color it is. So
simple.
Yeah. Simple and easy.
Cool. That is so cool. So what's next for you in Lego and PowerApps? Are there more apps on your list?
Yes, there is. There is a similar one to this one, but also where you have it on the phone. So on the go, you can register it a quality issue if you see it, and go home and fill it in.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, last question. Advice to all those people out there who didn't put their hand up earlier, who maybe are just getting started with PowerApps, from somebody who has recently gone through this. What's your best advice for getting started on the platform?
I have actually 2. Just don't give up. I went back to my old mails and could see, okay, I was actually a bit frustrated when I started, but then suddenly it just all makes sense and it becomes more and more easy. And 2, involve the users from the start.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, because you will be pushed all the way through it.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you. Everybody give Camilla a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Camilla, for coming up. That was awesome. The most gratifying part of my job and working on this team is being able to empower stories like that. And as those stories become, not just one process and one form and one app and one group of 8 people, but like at Standard Bank and SNCF and many other customers, dozens of different types of people, dozens of different use cases. It is really amazing to see what's happening right now on the platform and what's possible. And it's in the context of that growth that we really feel like we're just at the very beginning of, that we start to think about what comes next, and we start to think about roadmap. We are not in this just for some short-term cool new features. We are in this to build one modern new platform that is extending across Dynamics, across Office, and across standalone applications. Now that's easy to type into PowerPoint and put on a slide, but that means a major commitment. It means we're signing up to be a high productivity application platform in the enterprise for 10 or 20 years from now. It means we're signing up for a really broad range of sophistication, right? Because it's one thing to take an Excel spreadsheet and put a form on top of it. It's another thing to roll out a mission-critical application across the enterprise. And we are building a platform that does both today in production and will do much more than that going forward in the future. And we've sort of put this platform together from 2 angles, and I want to kind of be transparent about that to people in the room because it helps frame up what we're doing from an investment perspective as well. About 20 months ago, in October of 2016, late October 2016, we went to market with PowerApps. And PowerApps at the time and now today is what you just saw Camila demo. It starts as a blank canvas. It looks like PowerPoint. I can drop controls I want on it. I can build all the traffic lights I want in the world. And because all of those elements are very UI first and UI focused, they're data source agnostic. It means I can connect them to anything I want. And we've built out this rich set of connectors to 230 sources and counting. And if you've got a REST API, you can bring your own as well. You can even connect to something behind a firewall with a secure on-premise data gateway. So it's a great data connectivity story. It's not married to a data source. And that means you can pack it together and you can build these really rich user experiences. You can build the Digiboji app and lay a form out around a schematic and not have to have a professional developer to do that. And you can integrate with a bunch of different systems, whether it's SharePoint or SQL or the Common Data Service or Dynamics, and not have to have a bunch of code and a bunch of data integration science projects. But in total transparency, building like this does start to get to, this is great for apps that are for those sort of individual solutions. I want to make a form better, I want to make a process better, all day long. Go crank out 50, 60, 70 of these. But when I want to build a really immersive experience, when I want to build a 70 form app or a 90 screen app, this kind of building can get a little bit tedious. When I have to place every control and every button in every form, right? There are limits to this style of development. And at the same time, at Microsoft, we've been in the business applications business for a long time. We've worked with the Microsoft Dynamics stack for a long time. This is a mature business. It powers billions of dollars of business globally. There are tons of customers around the world who trust Dynamics 365 for really mission-critical processes. And there's a whole community of makers who are effectively mostly career professionals dedicated to building on this platform. Are you in the Dynamics community? Anybody in the audience? Hands up? Yeah, you know this. You've been on this journey, right? But that type of app development has been kind of fundamentally conceptually different for a long time. It actually starts at the other end of the spectrum. It starts at the data model. It starts at my entities. What is an account? What is a contact? What is a lead? What is a form? How are they related to each other? What forms do I want to model on top of them to let users input data? What views over that data do I want to provide? All my active accounts in the Western region that were active in the last 30 days. I declare all that logically, and then the user experience, once I kind of subset it into an application, I sort of logically drag in, what do I want included here? The user experience is auto-generated. And there's great benefits to that model too, right? And I can now build really rich forms, and really rich business processes, and really rich rules and relationships. And I can auto-generate all this UI, and I can trust that Microsoft is going to make that UI run fast and look good and be up to snuff and up to standards. But there's downsides here too. It means that by virtue of getting those benefits, I'm sort of much more tied to my data model. I'm tied to the data source where I've got it. And look, Dynamics has petabytes of data in it, so there's a lot of gravity around this system. But it means when I want to go build custom UI, when I want to go connect to other data sources, it's a little bit harder natively in this system. And look, we looked at this about a year ago, and we said we've got phenomenal traction on the left side here. We've got great growth out of predominantly the SharePoint community, Office 365, and other standalone application developers who are coming to this. And we have this mature business on the right-hand side with a global community around it. Let's not build these two things in a silo. Let's not build them separately. Let's bring them together, and that's exactly what we've done. But it's non-trivial, right? Because they were sort of built in fundamentally architecturally different ways, conceptually different ways, right? On the one hand, you have this sort of very model-driven experience and declarative experience. On the other hand, you have this very canvas-based freeform thing. And what we did looks a lot more elegant in slideware than it was in reality, but we put them together. We sort of said about 6 months, we went to market in March, and we said, we are fundamentally bringing the power of this Dynamics platform that has been maturing for a long time. We are bringing it to the Common Data Service. We are bringing it to PowerApps. We are making these things one and the same. And the commitment we made at that point is that we will fully unify these platforms and bring the best of both of these worlds together. An approachable, high productivity, incredibly creative experience that we have launched in PowerApps, and a robust, world-class, business-scale, enterprise-scale data platform that can back it. And we will bring those things together. We will unify them. And what that looked like in March of this year was effectively we ripped out the platform underneath Dynamics 365, and we spray-painted it purple, and we called it PowerApps, and we bolted it onto the side of PowerApps and put it out there. And I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but if you've used these things together, you can tell that they're coming together. But we didn't go dark in a hole for 5 years and try to build the perfect software product. All of these things are being adopted at scale in production today. We have many customers who are using both. So why hide from that, right? And we are working out loud, and I'm saying this because it puts our roadmap in context. We are working out loud with you as a user community to unify the benefits of these platforms and help everybody go faster along the way. And you saw from the chart in the beginning, that's working, that's happening. These things are rolling into production as we speak. And a big part of why we're doing this is kind of core to our mantra is this idea of no cliffs. This idea that when we have a platform that can extend from customizing an Excel spreadsheet, customizing a SharePoint form, all the way up to delivering a mission-critical, global-scale business application. And by the way, now Dynamics 365 for sales and service and marketing, our fundamental business applications, are built on this platform. And when I go to SharePoint and I hit the Customize button on a form, I'm building on this platform. It goes left to right, that broad. Right? There's a lot of sophistication there. Our job is to make that sophistication understandable, highly productive, and actually unify the best of these capabilities together. So the other thing we've done recently in terms of working out loud, we've done this across the business applications group, we started to get much more transparent about what we're working on. And we're a modern development operation and business. We ship weekly, and we constantly iterate. We're very responsive to feedback, but we do sit down about twice a year. And we look 6 months in the future, which is about the limit that humans can predict what they're going to do and work on how long it will take. And we say, what are the commitments we're going to make for the next 6 months? And then we publish them. And so several months ago in March, we published what we're going to release in the October timeframe. And hey, guess what? We're on the doorstep of October, and all this stuff is about to roll out. We posted a big blog post yesterday morning that sort of wraps up what's coming. We've posted publicly what we're working on for a long time. So none of this is effectively news. But what we want to talk about going forward here and spend the bulk of the session on is what is actually rolling out, what is actually coming, and get really down into the details. To frame that, there are really 5 priorities that we've been focused on. And the first and foremost one is quality, quality, quality all the way. If there is a feature that you have been waiting for that you do not hear me talk about in the next 45 minutes, it's because the bulk of our engineering group is actually focused under the hood. Because we know that to be the platform that people depend on for the next 10 or 20 years of software development, we have to be way ahead of the curve in terms of what that means to run a large volume of business applications at planet scale. And while the Dynamics 365 business is mature today, it's also a business that's been around for a while. That platform started as an on-prem product a long time ago, and we are bringing it forward into the modern hyperscale era as we fly it and as we grow the business on it. And then we are growing up PowerApps from where it started as this sort of UI-based tool to work on top of it. So quality we focus on a lot. But quality is not just something that happens kind of in this black box for Microsoft engineers when we focus on our availability and our performance. It's also a concept that we're shipping to makers. So we'll talk a lot about how we're helping makers know that they are building with quality and follow good patterns and understand when they haven't followed a good pattern how to fix it and not even get into that situation in the first place. We'll talk about that. We're also making sure that we're actually paying off this benefit of bringing these platforms together. And that we're really bringing the best of both worlds. We've got a couple of really exciting pieces there that we'll talk about. And of course, we're focused on makers. Makers are my day job. I look after the group that builds product for all the maker experiences. And so there's a lot of exciting, cool stuff there that we'll get into. And we also want to make sure that users have a great experience with what we build, sort of good advancements there. And of course, this is not your shadow IT tool of the past, right? We want to make sure that this development in a company happens out loud, that Vanessa can go train thousands, tens of thousands of Standard Bank employees and have visibility into what they're doing, have governance over what they're doing, have an understanding, an audit trail of what they're doing, be able to set data loss prevention policies on what they're doing, and not stop them at the front door. And that's really critical for the organizations that are embracing us, that are empowering change. And we invest a lot in admin visibility and control. We have some announcements there. So without further ado, let's dive in and look at what we're doing on the quality front. We won't go through gory detail on every single one of these bullet points, but I do want to double click on some of them. And one of the big ones that we're going on here is sort of this concept of analysis, of real-time sort of static analysis over what you're building as you're building it, so we can tell you how to follow good patterns. And one of the things we did in the dynamic space, because you can imagine when you're talking about model-driven apps or dynamics implementations, they can be really sophisticated and complex. They can involve tons of forms and components and dashboards, but also a lot of code behind that automates all these things to come together. And it's not that hard to break yourself into jail if you don't know what you're doing on this platform. So what we did is we took a team of elite sort of reliability and support engineers who have had experience on the front lines. These were the people you called when nobody else could fix it. And we pulled them out of the front lines and we said, let's productize productize your knowledge. Let's go build a graph of all the patterns that people get to that cause slow performance, that cause error rates and failures. Let's build an engine that detects that automatically. Let's build rich documentation behind it that then goes and links to that detection and helps people solve problems. And so now what we're rolling out in private preview over the next couple weeks, and then we'll roll out more broadly beyond that throughout the month, is this concept called Solution Checker. And so if you have a solution, a bunch of components that you've built up, entities and forms and views and dashboards and plugins and resources, you can pack that all in a solution and you can say, hey, check this for me. And we'll go analyze it. We'll iterate over it on our side and we'll go look for all these patterns, we'll detect them, we'll download a really rich report. This is not a hokey thing. You literally get a CSV spreadsheet, line by line, every single problem and pattern we've detected with a link to a doc about how to do it better. And that's a very early first step. We'll kind of build forward on this and get more sophisticated with it. But even in our early private testing, that's helping a lot. Now, here's an example of taking that more advanced concept from the right side of the previous chart all the way back into early makers working in the PowerApps studio, or people doing really much more simple things, right? We have this concept called App Checker. This we shipped actually very recently. There's a little cute stethoscope in the upper right-hand corner. And it'll do a couple things when you're building a Canvas app. It'll say, hey, your formula has a problem. Hey, the way you expressed that might not actually evaluate on the server. It's going to try to evaluate here on the phone, which means it's going to try to pull down a bunch of data or have a limit on it. You might want to rewrite your formula a little bit differently. Or, hey, the thing that you put here, you don't have an accessible label on this text. So somebody who's using a screen reader might not know how to use your app. So we can detect a whole bunch of situations as you're building your app, pull it out here in the App Checker, and again, right in line, give you the ability to do something with it and understand how to act. We're also, talk about working out loud, we're now fully shipping features into environments before they roll out into production. We just released the concept of a preview program, a preview environment. I can go create an environment in a geographic region that's sort of bounded to preview. It gets all the new bits, a whole cycle ahead of when they come to the rest of the platform. So if I am running these apps in production, and I want to run a copy of them ahead or test out new things or try that feature that I've been waiting on, I can do it ahead of time. I can validate it. I don't have to wait to do that in my production environment or in another environment. That's really powerful as well. So those are steps we're taking. It's a road we'll be on, but we feel like they're really important steps to helping people build with higher quality. Now let's talk about what you do once you're building with that. One of the other big pieces of investment that we've taken as we've merged these platforms together is the Dynamics 365 platform has had this very rich story for application lifecycle management. That sounds like a word soup for people who have not been in the development industry, so we can break it down. This is how I manage my development when I'm working on an app, when I'm testing it, and then when I actually put it out there for people to use. Now I have better tools, richer tools for separating those into completely different environments. So I can make changes and iterate over here and not disturb the thing that is already stable and I know about people are using over here. Now we had this concept in PowerApps. I could export a PowerApp of Flow, download it in a zip file. It was very primitive. But the Dynamics infrastructure is much richer there. And so now you'll be able to package a Canvas app and a Flow and all your CDS entities in the same rich infrastructure that this sort of professional business is using to manage Dynamics 365 lifecycle. And in fact, that already knows how to publish things to AppSource. It already knows how to package them up and do all kinds of different stability and testing on them across those versions. And there's a lot of richness there that's capable. At the same time, we're modernizing the interface for doing it. We're bringing the management concept into PowerApps.com. We're giving it a facelift. We're making it accessible. We're making it faster, more performant. You'll be able to search for things and solutions. There's a whole bunch that you don't get in sort of the legacy customization UI that you get here, and on top of the fact that you get this great packaging. Now, of course, one of the great things you'll be able to do with that then is then actually bring these app concepts together. And now I'll be able to embed a Canvas app right into a model-driven app. So that classic trade-off I talked about a minute ago, sort of I get the rich UI auto-generated, but I can't customize it, I can't connect to data, or I can customize and connect to data, but I can't go generate a bunch of forms. You don't have to make that trade-off anymore. Now for everybody who's customizing Dynamics or building on a model-driven app, I can go generate 70 forms in a really complicated app, but I can go to the 1 or 2 or 3 screens that I really want to customize, and I can fully replace pieces of those forms with things that I've designed on the canvas, and I can pull in data from other sources. It sort of really blows the lid off of what is today a complicated software development prospect for people customizing Dynamics. And that's powerful as well. That's just, again, one step on the road to unifying these platforms, bringing these concepts and these things together. Now, when I'm working from the Canvas app side, we're also really investing in making sure that we get the full benefit of this great relational data store in the Common Data Service, where I can go relate an account to a contact, to an organization, to a company, to a lead, where I can go understand both the end-to-one and one-to-N relationships for all of you schema nerds out there. One of the couple great things that are coming is much better support for option sets in the canvas, and also a much better formula notation for being able to navigate those relationships, both one-to-N and N-to-one. So instead of having to write a complicated lookup or filter formula to do a nested subgrid of sort of reviews related to a product, which is what you're seeing in the screen. The formula to write this today is a lot more complicated. Today I'll just be able to say, hey, go give me selected.reviews. And we'll go know what to pull back and pull into that view. So we're getting smarter in the connection between these things, and that's valuable as well. But let's get to some of the cooler, juicy stuff as well. I want to talk about in that authoring experience. What are all the things that we're doing to make this better? Now, we're not going to necessarily rake through every single one of these, but Evan will get up in a little bit and demo some of them, and I'll do a couple of little mini demos here in a second. One of the things that we're really excited about, both for what it is and what it represents, is the concept of screen templates. And this is, again, just a thing we just released a week ago, where instead of plonking on a blank canvas and then having to build all these little primitive controls up in my canvas, we've built a bunch of those screens for you. Several months ago, we sort of released a bunch of pre-built sample apps in collaboration with Office and the Microsoft Graph team. And we put a lot of work into making them beautiful and gorgeous. They've gotten rave reviews. But what we've done now is we've dissected them. We've pulled out the common patterns in them about scheduling meetings and calendars and appointments and finding people. And we've pre-built those as individual screens. And they come with their data source. They connect as they go. And so I can go build a really quick screen on the canvas very easily. I want to actually, this one I'm excited enough about that I want to show you live because it's pretty cool. You guys know I can't go very long without demoing something. So here, now I can pop in a preview region, one of those regions that I talked about earlier, and I can add a new screen. Now you notice there's nothing in this app right now, but I can, guys, it's beautiful. Imagine this amazing experience. All right, well, I'm not smart enough. All right, well, Evan will demo it to you later. Let's see if we can get back here. Bummer. All right, well, you get the idea. Even if I don't have, computers are hard. I could see it fine. Even if I don't have even an Outlook connection connected in my app, even if I don't know how to write the formulas to go iterate over the calendar appointments and items, even if I don't want to go put all the little calendar items in there to build a calendar controller myself, I just press this button and it's all done for me, and then I can plug it into all the other things in my app. And that concept of sort of assemble from richer components, that is a concept that you will see us continue to ship against and continue to bring into play, where we kind of reach up from the low-level primitives that you have today, buttons and drop-downs, and assemble them together, make it easier to build things much faster, and again, take advantage of good patterns by default as you go. Another thing that we're doing and bringing forward that I also wanted to demo to you is this brand new view designer. We're bringing a lot of the rigor and design and friendliness that we've brought to the PowerApps canvas to this world of model-driven designers in the Dynamics 365 platform, which, yes, has petabytes of data and billions of dollars of business and customers around the world, but the design experiences of which haven't really seen a lot of love in at least a decade or more, right? And I think we're taking a lot of these experiences and have not been super productive in the past and giving them all the same love and treatment. The new view designer fits all the same patterns of the PowerApps canvas. It's built to not just be a model-driven thing, but really be a concept about how do I go express over a whole list of data, which rows do I want, which columns do I want, which sort and filter do I want, and subset it down, right? In the PowerApps canvas today, this is something I have to write a kind of complicated filter expression for. And in the Dynamics world today, this is something that I need to sort of use this kind of legacy experience for. We're bringing both of those forward. And so this is going to ship in the next couple weeks, first for Dynamics and CDS entities, and then over time we'll bring that to the Canvas world as well. And you'll see us do that with lots of the other things too. Another thing we're really proud of, we spent a lot of time on, part of core of our mission is making sure that everybody can build applications. Everybody, regardless of your technical background, your technical skill, but also your ability. And we're proud to announce now that it is now possible to build an app entirely with a screen reader and keyboard support. And that's a pretty cool concept in terms of bringing app development to people who have not traditionally had an easy time there before as well. It also brings a lot of goodness for more advanced makers using keyboards regardless of your ability level. And we spent a lot of time thinking through how should this very sophisticated interaction process of placing elements on a canvas and building applications, how should that work in a screen reader and keyboard in a keyboard world? And that's been a pretty cool process to go through. We've published some documentation about a lot of the new shortcuts and commands that are out there. Another thing that we're doing, we've heard a lot from the SharePoint community specifically about this. Man, make it easier. I don't want to write as many formulas as I have to write on the canvas today, right? It's powerful that I have that language, but don't make me use it all the time, right? For really common scenarios, help me find my fields easier, help me set my things up easier, help me go make one dropdown depend on another dropdown, right? I've got a dropdown of states and a dropdown of cities, and I want to filter the cities by the state, right? Don't make me, you can do that today in PowerApps. You got to write an expression to do it. We're introducing tooling to be able to do those things. So in a couple of clicks, I can make those very common gestures. And again, that's part of this concept. We've got a really powerful engine under the hood here. We're starting to build things on top of it that make it easier and faster and higher productivity to use. When you are writing formulas, though, and a lot of people who build sophisticated apps today take advantage of the fact that we have this rich expression language. It can do a lot of logic beyond point and click. We're starting to bring some love to that space as well. And so we recently shipped the ability to format your formulas. You got a long thing that you're typing, and it starts to get hard to parse. Just press this button. We'll automatically lay it out on a bunch of different lines so that it's easy to understand. And then on top of that, you can add comments. I can go / and leave a note for myself, which I need all the time, or for another person who's working on this app. What am I actually doing here? What is this expression doing? And why is that important? Incredibly powerful. And in fact, we're starting to use this in our sample apps, in our screen templates. So when you get something from us that we've pre-built, you'll see it formatted and you'll see it commented, so you'll understand what's going on. And you'll be able to sort of recreate that and learn from it as you go. We're also starting to add to that expression language concepts that just do richer things that we see are common patterns. And so, very common pattern, hey, I submit a form, press a button. I want to tell somebody in the app, hey, that succeeded, that was good. And today in PowerApps, okay, I can do that. I can put a element on the canvas. I can set a variable to make it hidden, and then I can show it when the success is good. I have to write a bunch of expressions to do it. A lot of people do it. They do amazing things with it. But man, it would be a lot easier if I could just hit that button and say, hey, notify success, and now I can do that. And I can write one expression that will make this nice little banner pop up, and I can put a parameter on it. I can say, is it a failure? Is it a warning? Is it a success message? Is it informational? And we'll make it red or yellow or blue or green based on what it is. We'll auto-format it, make it much easier to do simple scenarios like this. And again, you'll see more of that from us going forward. So just a lot happening sort of on the ground in the authoring space. We're listening very closely to feedback and working on things as we go. Some of them take longer than others, but all of them are important. And you'll continue to see that ramp of progress from us as we go forward. So let's fast forward to end user experiences. Now, a big area that we're investing in on the model-driven side, all that UI that gets auto-generated, it's got to be best in class. And so, we're working a lot on making sure that navigation and commanding experience out of the unified interface, this new UI language that is sort of the new default for Dynamics applications and for model-driven applications, that is world-class. And we're working closely with teams in Office to make sure that we take some of the patterns that all of our users are familiar with, working with SharePoint, working with PowerPoint, working with Excel, and we bring those forward in this world of business applications that have a little bit more complexity going on. But we use the simplification standards that are there and some of the common standards that are there so users get to know them. So better navigation is rolling out, better commanding is rolling out, and you'll continue to see improvements in the unified interface. We're also building PowerApps to be experienced in lots of different places in lots of different ways. And so now you'll be able to, in fact, you can already in production today, set totally custom sizes for apps that get embedded in other places. So by default, I can go say I want a phone app or I want something for a widescreen or a browser. Now I can go say, hey, I want 300 by 300 pixels because I'm going to embed this in that model-driven form, or I'm going to embed this as a SharePoint web part, and I want it exactly this particular ratio and size. I can do that today. You start with a widescreen app, and then you'll get this option to go subset it down. Very powerful for the embedded scenarios, and also a foreshadow, a precursor of what's coming sooner from us in terms of getting closer to responsive concepts as well. on the canvas. In addition to the screen templates, we've also brought in great themes from Office. So we've taken a look at all the Office themes and we've translated them into PowerApps land. So now if I've chosen a theme on my SharePoint site and I want to make my embedded app look like it, I can go line that up pretty easily. And if I want to go just build a standalone app that looks really good and has better modern colors in it, those Office themes are really cool. We're also introduced a rich text editor control. This was a really highly voted ask on our forum and from some key customers. This is sort of optimized for the web today, and we're bringing it to mobile as well, but it's available now on the web as an experimental control. Let me do rich text editing in my forms that are embedded in SharePoint as well. All right, last section, and then we'll transition to sort of demo fest and demo land, and then we'll come back and we'll do some question and answer and whatnot. Let's talk about admins. There was an awesome session this morning at 9 a.m. on admin visibility and control. Anybody go to James's session this morning at 9? Yeah. If you didn't, go check it out because there's a lot more richness there than we'll cover here in a few minutes. But one thing that we're really investing in is making sure that IT admins have visibility into what's going on in the organization. And that I can see across all of my users, all of my geographies, all devices that are running, applications they're running, and not only get analytics about how they're using it, and look for potential patterns of violation or concerning patterns, but also just see where are apps loading slowly, where are there performance problems, what do I need to go focus on and why. And so, in addition to sort of providing this great view in the maker experience, which we have for a while, and then we're adding some richness to that, we're also now standing up a net new admin center for the whole platform, bringing together Dynamics 365 administration, PowerApps administration, Flow administration, and we're packing it with much better insight into what's happening inside of those organizations. And again, there's great advancement that's rolling out there right now, and that will, again, continue to get richer as we sort of expose what's happening right now in my company, in my orgs. This is a really powerful sort of answer to the question of how do I manage this? I don't necessarily want everybody running around in my company building apps. I don't trust Camilla to build an app. How do I stop her? And that's not the right attitude, right? Because Camilla will make this process work better, and every person, and Martin will make this process work better when they're empowered to do things, and when they're empowered to do it in a way that the company can trust, that lives up to standards, that is governable and auditable, and has visibility from an administration perspective. By no means are we blind to that. Where we are investing is not in the hammer to stop it. We're investing in the flashlight to see it and reach out and manage it and embrace it. And that's really where we're seeing a lot of innovation happen in companies like Standard Bank, in companies like Belron and other companies like that, even in Microsoft around the world. I was going to try to show you this, but I won't risk it again on the screen. I was going to show you the actual analytics report for one of the apps at Microsoft that's adopted broadly at scale. Microsoft IT has adopted the platform. Microsoft IT has said, you know what, we're going to take a bunch of legacy employee-facing apps at Microsoft and bring them forward. And so now apps for doing time and absence reporting, apps for giving another employee a kudos and giving them feedback at annual review time. Those are built on PowerApps, and they're connected to systems that MSIT runs. Almost 40,000 people used PowerApps in Microsoft in July around review time. And they haven't even rolled it out to the whole company yet, right? So is this thing ready for big scale? Is this thing bigger than just 8 people in a department? Absolutely, and that's not just limited to Microsoft. There are dozens and dozens of tenants that have a single app with more than 1,000 monthly active users right now. And so yes, there's a long tail opportunity here, but there is also an opportunity to go re-platform major applications and roll them out into the business, and you get visibility when you do that. The other thing that we did recently, which is exciting but also kind of meta, is we released connectors for PowerApps and Flow to PowerApps and Flow. Let me unpack that for you a little bit. They're management connectors, right? So just like I can use PowerApps to go automate when a new list item is created in SharePoint, or I can use PowerApps to go iterate and show me a list of things in the Common Data Service, a list of accounts. Now I can use PowerApps to go iterate and show me a list of apps in my company. I can go show me a list of makers. I can set up a flow that notifies me when a new person makes a new app in a new place. I can set up an approval process on that. I can take all the customized richness that comes with this platform, and I can apply it to governing this platform. And we've been building that actually hand in hand with many of the champions that are on the forefront of adopting this platform. And so people have already built management apps for PowerApps. In fact, I showed a screenshot of the SNCF app. They're doing it using these connectors to the PowerApps service. And so there's a lot of power and richness there if you have the right privilege, if you're an admin, to be able to go use the platform to govern the platform. And you know, that is super important to us as well. We're not going to rebuild all those things over again. We're going to use a lot of the richness that we have in the platform going forward. You know, similarly, we actually use Power BI embedded to deliver those admin analytics. And you don't have to think about that or have a Power BI license. It's just, you know, it's a great platform for, you know, showing data and showing analysis and working through it. Why rebuild it? And that's why we're able to go a lot faster. Is we're taking a lot of these rich technologies that we have the benefit of having in Microsoft, that we have the benefit of building in Microsoft. Who, you know, literally engineers, we sit next to each other on these tools. We have the benefit of putting them together and getting the best out of them as we go forward and go to market. And now from an administration perspective, and I know that's a hot topic here, we have also packaged up, if you didn't make it to James's session, or if you did, a lot of accumulated knowledge from the front line of administering PowerApps rollouts and deployments. There are 66 pages of information in this document. This is not a marketing white paper. This is not a Friday night read with a glass of wine, although go for it if you want. This is a really serious document about how to think about building a PowerApps practice in your company, how to think about governing and administering and rolling out PowerApps at scale. And it's written not just by the product team, it's also written hand in hand with the folks at MSIT who are doing this at scale across Microsoft, and with some of our customers who are doing this at scale across other people. Being ready for the enterprise is a really important theme for us. And half of that is tooling and capability. The other half is just best practices. And I think as an industry, as we are sort of embracing this concept of high productivity development, low-code development that is now finally real, I think we're all learning together about what the best ways are to manage and roll that out and empower people. And again, we want to work really out loud there as we go, and bring sort of the great experiences of our customers into the light to share with each other. And that's where some of those programs are really cool. All right, that was a lot of talking. That was a lot of slideware. Who wants to actually see some of this stuff working in action, not just a big black screen? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. All right. All right. Let's pop over. You won?
Perfect. All right, well, thanks, Ryan. So what we're going to do is think about the processes that we saw earlier. How do we take those and bring them from a department level to more of an enterprise? So what would happen that we need to think about once we roll this out to all of Lego? So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with just right in the web portal for PowerApps. So I'm here, I've gone under my data, and I already have a number of entities that tell me things about accounts and contacts, but I've also created some that are more custom to my process. So I've created one called Quality Improvement. I can go in here and I can see fields that I've already created. I can quickly add new fields, so I don't have to open up Management Studio or anything. I can do it right here. So I can go ahead and say, you know what, I want to add some approver comments. Great. And then I can add my data field, and I'm done. So I'm going to do a big text area for that, and it's there. I can also see other things. So again, it's not just a table. It's about relationships that go between different entities. It's about business rules that I can create. So I can go in here and I can create a business rule. So maybe I have a field, and I'll say, you know what, when I have a business rule, I'm going to say when a priority status is critical, then what I want to do is when that happens, I want to do some things within my model-driven app. So I can do that, and any data that comes in is going to automatically get these rules that I define. So I can say, great, you know, when that happens, I want to set a field value, and now I can just drag and drop. And I can say, well, I have a field, I want to set the notify manager to yes, perfect, and apply, and save and publish. And that's it. And that business rule is now running everywhere. It's running against all the data that's coming in and out of my business process, my entity. I also have views. So if we think about, we can take all of the data and we can take that down to different layers, and I can filter and slice this. So maybe it's important for me to see all of the quality items that are coming in, but maybe I only want to look at critical items or items that haven't been given a priority yet. I can define those right away, and then they're there and ready for me to use. So again, I can do all of these different things like charts, things like dashboards. I can define this in one place, and then I can click on Open in Excel, and when I do that, I can see all of my data from tools that my users are used to using. So right here within Excel, I can see all the data that I already have in this particular entity. Not only that, if you notice, if I click through, I can quickly say, oh, this one doesn't have one, it's critical. And I'm getting a list of a dropdown from CDS. So I know what values are available. I know what products are available. So I can change my product and say, oh, that was mislabeled, it's really the Disney Castle. I publish, and my data is published in real time back up to CDS.
That's why we call it an entity, by the way. I get this question a lot from people who are not from the business application space or the data. What the heck is an entity? You know, isn't that just a table? Isn't that just a list? This is so much more than a list, right? Yes, it has columns and there are different types, but they have relationships and they have rules and they have views over them and they have logic that runs no matter where you interact with it, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet or a flow or a Canvas app or a model-driven app, and that makes it a heck of a lot more than a table. Why it's an entity is a whole nother semantic conversation, but that's why we call it an entity.
That's right. So what I've done is I've defined my structure. My model is now defined. I have my views, I have my forms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly create an app. So I'm going to go over to apps. Oh, we'll just discard this. And I'll click new app. So we'll just kind of jump into here and go in my app designer. So I've got one that I've just named quality department. And when I say done, I'm now here in the new app designer. So all I have to do is I can go in and I can define what I want to have show up. So I can say, great, I want to have an entity for, let's say, products. Great. And now let's go ahead and add another one for my quality. So I'm going to add my two entities here. Quality, great. And now my sitemap is done. I'll go ahead and publish, and I'll close out of here. So what I'm doing is I'm defining what experience should my users have when they go into my app. So great, that's all finished. Well, now once I do that, if you notice on the screen, those entities have come in automatically for me. I have all of my forms, all my views, my charts, my dashboards, my business rules. They're all there. So within a couple clicks, I hit save, just like I do in PowerApps. I hit publish, just like I do in Canvas apps. And I hit play, just like I do in Canvas apps. And now I've got UI that's being built for me. It's going to come up. And with just those few clicks, I get a full UI experience. I can do my searching. I can do my filtering. So I can do all of those things, and I can even give it a UI that's very specific to Lego. I can do that all in one place. So I already had a theme that I applied to my model-driven app, and here it is. It's got the color scheme. Again, I can filter. I can use different things. I can click into one of these. Let's say I want to click into to the Elsa product. Now I can go in and I can see how many reviews have already happened against this particular product. I can see how many things we have on hand. I can automatically have my Canvas app here embedded in my model-driven where it's pulling back data from third-party sources. I've got my images here. I have my rating coming from Dynamics. I have issue details. So if there's a quality problem, I can be looking at the product and I can put in a quality issue. Let's just say issue here. And I can submit that feedback right without having to leave the product section. So when I do that, it's there. It's now gone into CDS and it's all in one place. So from there, let's take a look and see what else I can do. So I do have this Canvas app. And maybe I forgot to do some accessibility pieces, so I'll just go ahead and jump over there. So here's my Canvas app. This is a lot of, like Ryan mentioned, the type of things that you think about when you first think about Canvas apps. And there's a few new things. If you notice, this is a oddly shaped Canvas app that I've made. So I've used the new, if I go to File, and I go to App Settings, I have changed the size of this to 900 by 400, because I want it to be very specific to my model-driven app and a couple other places that we'll see later. So I've gone and I've set those properties. And now you can see a couple other things. If you notice up here in the app checker, I have a problem. So let me go and click on that. And I can see, okay, I have an error. Now I can do a couple things here. I can click on this and it'll bring me right to the place that has an error. I can say, oh, look, I left an extra piece in here. Now the other thing is, this is fairly hard to read. So I'm going to go and click on Format Text. Now, this is much easier for me to take a look at, and I'll go ahead and add a comment. Doing some items here. Great.
Very helpful comment.
Yeah, this is the kind of comments I usually leave for myself. It's very unhelpful 6 months from now.
Yes.
So I've been able to add comment. I can do block commenting. Again, I can format my code, so now if you're trying to help someone else out, That's the first thing I do. Format text, I can easily see what's going on, and we'll do that for you. So those are some of the things I can do. Now, within my app, I can use my app checker, I can format my code, I can put in comments, and that's great. But now let's think about, okay, we have our model-driven app. We have this great place where we can pass in IDs to this Canvas app from third-party places. I can go ahead and submit items in it, but where should I put this, right? So we have lots of embedding stories built into PowerApps now. So I can think about, well, in Teams. So I have my Teams channel right here. I can quickly go to Add. I can say, oh, PowerApps, great. So I can click on PowerApps, and now I can embed this app right within my Teams channel as a new tab, and people can go and submit feedback wherever they are. The other thing I can do also is I can embed this into WebPart. So I've got it right here in my Lego quality SharePoint site. I've embedded it into WebPart, so that way people can find this, they can provide feedback wherever they are. But for both of these scenarios, people have to go somewhere, right? They have to know to go to my team site. They have to know to go to a certain SharePoint site. So wouldn't it be nice if maybe they could just go to Bing and, I don't know, search for a product or search for an ID and have your Power App there? We can do that today. So I can go and use Microsoft Search. I can log in as myself, and when I search for results, I can put in bookmarks. And within those bookmarks, I can specify a Canvas app that I want to load. So now I can search for Anna and Olaf. I can see my app, and now I can put in feedback, and I can submit it, and it's going out to the Common Data Service. And my feedback about some part that is with the crying child, it can now be solved in real time wherever I am.
Wait, you're telling me I don't have to give my users a link or wait for them to find the Power App or go to PowerApps.com. They just can search for Anna and Olaf, and it's going to show up on Bing?
They search, and they find it on Bing with a Power App embedded.
That's pretty cool.
So now I have it just about everywhere. And if you think about how we enterprise this, it's really, I've done all of my development, and I've done all my development in my dev environment, right? So the last piece of this that I want to call out is I can now go over to Solutions, and when I click on Solutions, I have my Lego solution. So my Canvas apps, my flows, my model-driven apps, my business process rules, my charts, my entities, all of the things that make up this project that I've been working on, I can now move from dev to UAT to production and roll that out as one single package altogether.
Very cool. All right, thank you, Evan. That was awesome. Cool. So obviously there's, oh, sorry, you missed the cool demo slide. It's the future. Look, there's a lot coming together quickly, and I think what you're seeing on the screen is exactly what we're doing in real time, where we're taking all the richness from this Dynamics platform, we're modernizing it, we're bringing it forward, we're unifying it with PowerApps, right? Doesn't mean any of it is necessarily going away. It doesn't mean any of it's getting more important than the other. It means we're taking the best of both worlds and putting them together. That first app that Evan built, that from a model-driven app perspective, hey, I want a couple lists and a couple forms of a couple of different tables of data, it's actually faster to build that as a model-driven app than it is even on the canvas today. But when I want to then go customize that look, I want to put those awesome Lego figurines in, I want to go call out to a different data source, that's where the canvas becomes incredibly powerful. And the ability to do one or the other is great. The ability to do them together is even better, right? And again, what you'll see over time as these things roll out with more behind them is just much more richness coming from both of those worlds, coming together, getting easier to use, and becoming more approachable for everyone. And then the other big thing you'll see is just that showing up in more and more places where users are already working. And that story is really powerful. It's driving a ton of usage from SharePoint today. It's also driving a bunch of usage standalone as we develop things for phones and tablets and the web on the platform as well. So this was the 200 level session. There's a lot of cool new stuff coming. There's a lot of depth behind this as well. This is not even all of the sessions from the platform that are going on here at Ignite and available to stream afterwards. We have a ton of people from the team here who have expertise in all of these different areas of the product. Definitely take advantage of this time this week if you're interested in PowerApps, whether you're deep in it and have done a lot of development or you're just getting started. Please come talk to us and come visit us at the booth and let us know what you're doing. We're very, very eager to sort of get involved and make sure that you are successful, because ultimately that's what this is all about. I want to reiterate, if you came in late, we've got this awesome chance to sort of tweet a session, win a trip to London, and all that takes is a couple of hashtags in a few minutes. We also want to remind you that we love feedback, not just about the product, but the sessions as well. We particularly love the number 5, so keep that in your mind, but please do give us good feedback. And with that, we'll stop it. I wanted to make sure that we left good time, because last year I kind of ran into the wall. So I want to make sure that we leave some good time for questions. If you want to run to another session, please do. But please feel free to come forward, ask some questions on the mic if you've got them, so everybody can hear, or we'll hang out. There's several of us in the room to hang out for a while. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.